Hey everyone, ever get that feeling, like your heart's gonna jump out of your chest when things get a little intense?
Oh, yeah, we've all been there.
Well, today we're taking a deep dive into something super interesting, that link between anxiety and talent.
Right. How can something that feels so uncomfortable sometimes actually be, well, kind of helpful?
Exactly. We've got some seriously cool sources to help us unpack all this.
Yeah, we're going to look at how anxiety can actually help us do better sometimes, but also how it can hold us back.
And most importantly, what we can do about it.
Love it. Practical tips.
All right, so first up, we've got this academic research, right?
Mm,
It looked at people taking the special talent exam and how anxious they were feeling.
high stakes.
Then we're going to tap into the wisdom of TalentSmart EQ.
Oh, they're great.
They've done some really cool work on how super successful people deal with stress.
Yeah, because they're out there crushing it, but I bet they get stressed too, right?
Totally. And lastly, we're going to the world of elite athletes.
Now we're talking.
This study from Celo, Brazil, dives into all those factors like the mental and social stuff that goes into their success.
Really interesting stuff.
All right, so before we get too far, let's define anxiety. Break it down a bit.
Yeah, good point. So the research we looked at actually splits it into two main types.
Okay, lay on me.
You got state anxiety, that's that temporary in the moment kind of thing.
Like right before a big presentation.
Exactly, or like those pre-game jitters.
Gotcha.
Then there's trait anxiety. That's more like built into your personality, how you generally react to the world.
So like some people are just naturally more prone to anxiety than others.
Kinda, yeah. It's like their baseline is a bit higher.
Interesting.
But here's the thing, and this is kind of cool, right? A little stress can actually be a good thing.
Really?
Oh, yeah. There's a study from UC Berkeley. They found that moderate stress, the kind that comes and goes, can actually make your memory better and help you perform better.
Wow. I mean, I guess it makes sense. Sometimes when I'm a little nervous about something, I actually focus better.
Absolutely. Like, think about it, right? Our ancestors, if they didn't get a little stressed when a saber-toothed tiger showed up, well,
Yeah, not a good outcome.
so those short bursts of stress, they give our brains this jolt of energy, keep us alert.
Like it's that fight or flight kicking in, right?
Exactly. The problem is when that stress just never goes away.
Right, because you can't be running from a tiger 24/7.
Exactly. It's like, think about a gazelle. If it's constantly terrified, it'll be exhausted and won't be able to, do gazelle things.
Find food, have babies, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so a little stress, good. Too much stress, not so good.
Makes sense. Right.
Totally. So let's get back to that talent exam study.
Yeah. They wanted to see, like, how different levels of anxiety affected how well people did.
Pressure cooker situation, what they find.
Well, they found a link between anxiety and how well people did, but it wasn't, like, a straightforward thing.
So it's not like more anxiety, worse performance.
Right. It's way more complicated than that.
Interesting.
One thing they did find, though, was a difference between men and women.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the guys in the study, they were less anxious overall, and they performed, like, closer to their target times than the women.
That's really interesting.
Makes you think, right? Are there different societal expectations at play? Maybe guys have more access to resources or support.
Yeah, totally. Like what's going on there?
Definitely something to dig into more.
For sure. And I guess it's worth mentioning that this study is just one piece of the puzzle.
Absolutely.
It's focused on a specific exam.
Yeah.
And they were relying on people to self-report their anxiety levels.
Yeah, it's always good to keep that in mind. There's always more research to be done.
Okay, so we know anxiety is normal. Everyone experiences it.
Yep. Part of being human.
But it doesn't have to control us, right?
Yeah.
How do we take what we're learning here and actually do something with it?
Great question. That's where TalentSmart EQ comes in.
Perfect timing.
They found these 10 strategies for dealing with stress. And get this, these strategies are used by some of the most successful people out there.
Okay, I'm all ears. Tell me everything.
Well, one that really surprised me was the power of being grateful.
Like appreciating what you have.
Yeah. Research shows that it actually lowers your cortisol levels.
Cortisol, that's the stress hormone, right?
Bingo!
Yeah.
So by focusing on the good stuff in your life, you're literally reducing your stress.
Oh, gratitude is a stress buster. That's amazing.
Right. Simple but powerful.
What else is in their arsenal?
Another one is all about squashing that negative self-talk.
Oh, I know that voice all too well.
We all do. It's like this inner critic that's constantly telling us we're not good enough.
Ugh, the worst.
But here's the key. You got to become aware of those thoughts. those patterns, and actually challenge them.
So instead of thinking, I'm never going to get this done, you'd say.
Yeah, instead of that big, overwhelming statement, try asking yourself, what's one small step I can take right now to move forward?
So getting specific and actionable.
Exactly.
Love it.
And don't forget about something as simple as breathing.
Oh, yeah. Just taking a few deep breaths can make a huge difference.
Seriously, even a few minutes of focused breathing can interrupt that whole stress cycle and bring you back to a calmer place.
Okay, so we've got gratitude, reframing our thoughts, and breathing. All great tools.
You got it.
So, ready to shift gears a bit and see what we can learn from those elite athletes.
Let's do it. They've got a lot to teach us.
I'm excited to dive in. This CLO Brazil study, it's all about those athletes and what helps them develop their talents.
Yeah, and one of the things they really emphasize is the importance of having a supportive environment.
Oh, that's so important. I mean, that's not just for athletes, right? We all need that.
You're so right. Everyone thrives in a supportive environment. And what's really fascinating is how this study highlights the role of coaches, especially early on.
Yeah, like a good coach can make all the difference.
Totally. They create this space where these young athletes can really push their limits, but without feeling like if they mess up, it's the end of the world.
So it's like having someone who believes in you and pushes you, but also provides that safety net.
Precisely.
That makes a ton of sense.
And that sense of security, it can be huge when it comes to managing anxiety and, developing a growth mindset.
Oh, growth mindset. That's Carol Dweck's work, right?
Yeah. She found that people with a fixed mindset, they think their abilities are set in stone.
Like you're either born with it or you're not.
Right. But those with a growth mindset, they believe they can actually develop their talents.
So it's all about effort and practice and believing you can get better.
Exactly. And what's cool is those athlete case studies, they show just how powerful that can be.
Like those athletes, they're facing setbacks all the time, but they're able to use those as learning experiences.
And they just keep striving to improve.
And get this. The study actually mentions research showing that people with growth mindsets, their brains actually work differently.
Isn't that wild? It's like rewiring your brain for success.
This is so fascinating. I can't wait to dig deeper into all this.
Yeah, it really is amazing. Just believing you can change and grow can actually make a difference in your brain.
Yeah.
But a growth mindset, it's not just about thinking positive, right?
No, definitely not. You got to put in the work.
Absolutely. It's about taking action and using those strategies we talked about, like changing how you look at things, challenging those negative thoughts, and building a good support system.
Right. Surrounding yourself with people who lift you up.
Exactly. It's kind of like working out a muscle, you know?
Yeah.
The more you choose to see those challenges as opportunities, the stronger that growth mindset muscle gets.
I like that, the muscle analogy. Okay, so zooming out a bit here, what's all this stuff about anxiety and talent? Tell us about how we approach learning and growing in general for ourselves and, for other people too.
That's a great point. I think the biggest takeaway is we got to change how we think about anxiety. Instead of seeing it as this scary thing to avoid, we need to realize it's actually a natural part of growing.
Especially when we're pushing ourselves,
Yeah.
right? Like getting outside our comfort zone.
You got it. So maybe instead of trying to get rid of anxiety completely, we should focus on giving people the tools to manage it.
Yeah, help them use that nervous energy as fuel, instead of letting it hold them back.
Exactly. And this goes for everyone, right? I mean, it doesn't matter if you're an athlete going for the gold, an artist trying new things, or just someone dealing with everyday life.
We all face challenges.
And we all have the potential to grow, and understanding how anxiety fits into all of that, that's powerful stuff.
I'm seeing now how this all connects back to that key thing we talked about earlier.
Oh, yeah.
It's not just about the anxiety itself. It's about what you do with that energy. How you use it to create something good, something meaningful.
Absolutely. It's about taking on the challenge, knowing that there might be some nerves along the way.
But that's okay. It's part of the process.
Right. It's that feeling of being right on the edge of your comfort zone, knowing you're about to break through to the next level.
I love that. So instead of being afraid of that feeling, that anxious energy, we can actually see it as a good thing.
Like a sign you're on the right track.
Yeah, a sign that you're growing and expanding your abilities.
And I think if we start to normalize the experience of anxiety, it'll make us more understanding and supportive as a society.
Totally. It's like creating a space where people feel safe to take risks and, not be perfect all the time.
Yeah, a space where it's okay to make mistakes and learn from them.
This whole conversation is really making me rethink how I approach challenges in my own life.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I tend to like avoid things that make me anxious.
Oh, I feel that.
But maybe that's stopping me from reaching my full potential.
Yeah. It's easy to do that, especially in a world where everyone's always trying to be perfect and act like everything's easy.
Right. But the truth is, growth and progress, it's messy. And that's okay.
It is. Those messy, imperfect moments, those are the times when we learn and grow the most.
So true.
Yeah.
It's about embracing those moments instead of fearing them.
Yeah, because sometimes those struggles, they actually lead to the biggest breakthroughs.
They force you to think differently, come up with new solutions, and just become more resilient overall.
Right.
Man, this deep dive has really changed how I think about anxiety.
Yeah.
I'm starting to see it as something that can actually help me, like a source of energy I can use to move forward.
That's the power of knowledge, right? It can totally change how you see the world and yourself.
Absolutely. Understanding the science behind anxiety, it's like
Yeah.
it takes away some of the fear and helps you feel more in control.
Love that.
Okay, so we've got all this great information, but what do we actually do with it? Like, what are some steps we can take to change our relationship with anxiety and reach our full potential?
Well, first thing to remember, managing anxiety, it's a journey, not a destination.
Right, it's not like there's one magic solution.
Exactly. But there are things we can do consistently to build that resilience and develop good coping skills.
Like creating our own little stress management toolkit.
I love that. And we can start by using those TalentSmart EQ strategies, like practicing gratitude, making sure we get enough sleep, and finding things that help us relax.
Yeah, taking care of ourselves.
Exactly. And, paying attention to what triggers your anxiety, that's huge.
Like noticing what thoughts or situations tend to send you spiraling.
Yep. Once you know what those triggers are, you can start figuring out ways to manage them.
It's like creating a map of your own anxiety so you can navigate it better.
Love that analogy. And don't be afraid to ask for help either.
Oh, that's so important.
Talk to someone you trust, a friend, family member, or even a therapist. Sharing your experiences can make you feel less alone.
It can, and it can also give you some new perspectives and ideas on how to cope.
Exactly.
It's interesting thinking about how societal expectations play into all this, especially for women.
Oh, for sure.
We touched on it earlier with that exam study, but I think it's worth digging a little deeper.
Absolutely. We know that women, they often face these unique pressures and expectations, both in their personal lives and at work.
Yeah, there's still so much inequality out there.
And all that pressure, it can definitely contribute to anxiety and make it harder for women to reach their full potential.
It's like they're carrying this invisible weight on top of everything else they're dealing with.
And that's why having a supportive environment is even more important for women.
Totally.
We need to create spaces where women feel seen, heard, and valued, where they can go after their goals without being held back by, outdated expectations or stereotypes.
That means challenging those limiting beliefs, both in ourselves and in the world around us.
Absolutely. We got to create a culture that celebrates diversity, supports women in leadership roles, and empowers everyone to thrive.
And that starts with awareness, right? Like
Yeah.
having honest conversations about the challenges women face and the things in our society that contribute to those
Yeah,
challenges.
100%.
It's about listening to women, validating their experiences,
Yeah.
and working together to create a world where everyone has the opportunity to succeed.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And this is something we all need to be involved in, men and women.
Working together.
Yeah, we got to challenge those old ways of thinking and create a future where everyone can reach their full potential.
This deep dive has been such a powerful reminder that knowledge is only as good as what you do with it.
So true.
It's not enough to just learn things. We have to actually use that knowledge to make positive changes in our lives and in the world.
Well said. And I hope our conversation today has given you some new insights and inspired you to take action, to embrace that anxiety as part of growth, and to create a more supporting and empowering world.
I know, I've learned a lot. This has been such a thought-provoking conversation.
Me too.
I'm leaving with a whole new perspective on anxiety and how it relates to talent. I'm excited to try out some of these ideas in my own life.
That's awesome. And remember, you have the power to choose how you respond to anxiety. With the right mindset and tools, you can turn it into something that helps you grow.
So we've talked about a lot today: the science behind anxiety, practical strategies for dealing with stress, the importance of a growth mindset, and building a good support system.
And those elite athletes.
Oh yeah, almost forgot about them. But before we wrap up, I want to leave you with one last thought, something to think about as you continue on your own journey of growth and development. We talked about those incredible athletes pushing their limits to do amazing things, but talent alone, it's not enough.
Right, there's so much more to it.
This Gallior Brazil study,
Hmm.
it really highlights it. It's like you need the talent, you got to put in the work, you need that resilience, and, a supportive environment too.
It all works together. And being able to handle that anxiety, to actually use that nervous energy to push you forward, that's a big part of resilience.
So true.
Yeah.
What if we could just totally change how we think about anxiety?
Okay, I'm listening.
Instead of dreading it, what if we approached it with curiosity?
Ooh, I like where you're going with this.
Imagine you feel those butterflies, your heart's racing a bit, and you think, okay, this is exciting. This means I'm about to do something that's going to help me grow.
Yeah, like those nerves, they're a sign that you're on the verge of something awesome.
Exactly. And when you embrace those challenging moments, when you're okay with being a little uncomfortable, that's when you really unlock your potential.
It's like giving yourself permission to become the best version of yourself.
I love that. So remember, talent's like a seed, right?
Mm.
It needs the right conditions to grow. So you got to put in the work, believe in yourself, and don't be afraid to use that anxiety to push you towards your goals.
And don't forget about your people. Having a supportive environment, that's huge.
It is. Surround yourself with people who believe in you, challenge you, and celebrate those wins with you.
Your own personal cheer squad.
That's a wrap on our deep dive into anxiety and talent. We hope you enjoyed this exploration as much as we did.
It's been fun.
Remember, you have the power to achieve amazing things.
You do.
Embrace the journey, the ups and downs, and never stop learning and growing.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So go out there and be awesome.
And until next time, keep on diving deep.